Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Tickner and I'm the pastor of Central Christian Church of Danbury. Thank you for joining us for this Encountering Scripture series, a series that's designed to help you create a personal and intimate understanding of our scripture reading for the upcoming Sunday. This week we are taking on Proverbs 3 verses 1 through 4, and we are going to be doing, as we always do, three readings of the text. The first one will allow you to just hear the scripture, and the second one we will dive a little bit deeper into what we read, and then the third one will be where we engage our imagination. This week we are also doing three different translations of the scripture. So let's get started on digging into Proverbs 3, 1 through 4. Our first reading of the scripture comes out of the New Revised Standard Version, the NRSV translation of Proverbs. So I invite you to join me in just listening to this first reading. Allow the story to soak in. Allow your ears to be open, your heart to be open, and allow the scripture to speak to you. So here now, Proverbs 3, 1 through 4 from the New Revised Standard Version. My child, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and abundant welfare they will give you. Do not let loyalty and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good repute in the sight of God and of people. In this first hearing of Scripture, allow yourself to think of words or phrases that really stuck out to you. What about this Scripture resonated with you? I invite you to pause the video or write your word or your phrase down in a notebook so that you'll have it for later. But really take a moment to meditate, pray, and reflect on the words and the phrases that stuck out for you from this first reading. Our second reading of the scripture comes from the New King James Version. It's a more traditional translation of the scripture. And so on this one, we're going to dig a little bit deeper. But I first invite you to hear the reading of the scripture, and then we'll dig into it a little bit. My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commands. For length of days and long life and peace they will add to you. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, and so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. As we dig a little bit deeper into this scripture, kind of building off what we did in the first reading and hearing what resonates or sticks out to you, I want to dig into this a little bit because the proverb starts out with my son, which immediately puts us in a position of being someone that a mentor or a parent or a guardian or someone that has some importance to us, that we're getting poured into by them, someone that's providing their wisdom, pouring their wisdom into us. And so we have this position of being given something, given this wisdom. It says, my son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commands. It's almost like we're being sent off somewhere. Maybe it makes me think of when I went off to college and my dad or my mom knew that they had to send me off and live on my own, and just trusting that their teaching had soaken in, that I would have received it and could live it. And I feel like that's something that we're automatically getting off the bat. This person, this wise person, this elder, this mentor is sending their young person off into the world to live the law, live the commands that they've poured into them. And then it goes on to talk about let not mercy and truth forsake you. In the NRSV it says loyalty and faithfulness. Don't let mercy and truth or loyalty and faithfulness forsake you. So it makes me want to think about what mercy and truth, what loyalty and faithfulness, what that looks like in their lives, in the lives of the scripture, but also in my own life. What is loyalty and faithfulness? What is mercy and truth? What does that practically look like for me as I think about binding it? It says binding it around my neck, or writing it on the tablet of my heart. And in this picture, this image that the writer is giving to us, this wisdom writer is giving to us, is one where we can't escape this wisdom. We can't escape this truth. We have it bound around our neck. We have it written on the tablet of our heart. No matter what, we can't escape it. It's something that is ingrained in us. Writing on the tablet of our heart, that's something that we've ingested, that we've digested, that we've internalized, and it's something that we then can just live because it's there and we can't escape it. And so what does mercy and truth, what does loyalty and faithfulness, what does that look like practically for our lives? And then it goes on to say, the reason for this is to find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. Again, as we see in so many scriptures, this God and this idea of how we treat each other are intertwined. How we treat God is how we treat people, and how we treat people is how we treat God. There's this interwoven, this connectedness that we can't escape. It's there, present throughout all of Scripture. And so if we just take a pious position where we're only worshiping God and we're not worrying about how we're interacting with each other, then we don't have the fullness of God. We're not living out God's full command. If we're just treating other people well and not having a spiritual life where we're connecting with God, having communing with God, then we're not getting the full scope of God. We're not getting the full scope of faith. There's that interconnectedness between God and humanity, and all are connected. And as I've been saying recently, all are in fact one. God and humanity are one. And so these are a few ways that I'd like to help us to dig into this scripture. What is it about how do you connect with this scripture to dig and personalize it in a deeper way? And for our third reading of Scripture, we are going to be engaging with Eugene Peterson's Message Bible, the Message Bible that he translated himself and has put the Scripture into his own words, into words that are more in line with our contemporary society. And so for this last reading, this is one where we like to use our imagination, let our imagination run. And so here's what I invite you to do as you hear this reading. I invite you to bring to mind a mentor, bring to mind a teacher, bring to mind a parent, someone that has guided you through life, someone that has poured into you in life, someone that is very important to you. And imagine that they are sitting side by side, maybe even right in front of you. Just really picture them. And picture them as someone that they're giving you their last piece of advice. Think of that this is a meeting where it's an important meeting where you are going away, and this person who's played such an important role in your life is pouring into you and is speaking to you. And so I invite you to hear the words of the Proverbs through the imagination and the communication of this person in your life. So I invite you to close your eyes, have a soft gaze, but really in your mind's eye, see this other person and imagine that they are saying this to you. And just hear the words of the Scripture. Good friend, don't forget all I've taught you. Take to heart my commands. They'll help you live a long, long time, a long life, lived full and well. Don't lose your grip on love and loyalty. Tie them around your neck. Carve their initials on your heart. Earn a reputation for living well in God's eyes and the eyes of the people. So that you can take this scripture and continue to allow it to grow in your heart, to grow in your spirit, to grow in your mind and your understanding. Here are a few application points that I'd like to have you can use to continue in your study. And they all are based on what we've already done. First, read through the scripture slowly. Take time to contemplate words or phrases that resonate with you. So what we did after the first reading, allow the words that you wrote down in your book or that you memorized or that continue to speak to you, they might change day by day, but just take time to meditate, pray over these words. Our second application point is to personalize the scripture. Think of a time someone may have poured their wisdom into you. What was that like? How did it make you feel? Try to read the scripture with this experience in mind. This is an exercise where you can really go into that idea of a mentor, teacher, parent, guardian, someone that is an elder, someone that is older than you, really giving you wisdom. Think about what it felt like for that person to pour into you. Think about what it felt like for that person to mentor you, and really read the scripture through that lens. Kind of what we did in that last reading, but really personalize it, take it deep, allow yourself to really feel, and use your sensations, your emotions to really connect with the scripture in this application point. And finally, for our third application, consider the words loyalty and faithfulness. Loyalty and faithfulness. What does living these words practically look like for you? These two words are the center of the scripture reading. These are the two words that they want us to bind around our neck, to write on the tablet of our heart. So we really need to understand what loyalty and faithfulness mean. What mercy and truth, as the King James Version describes them. What do these two words look like practically in your own life? How could you really live them out? And you can do it however you want to do it, but think about what that looks like in real life, not some pie-in-the-sky utopian version, but think about practically what loyalty and faithfulness look like for you. So we've read through the text 3 times with 3 different versions. We've considered application points so that we can dig a little bit deeper throughout the week. And we've really started to personalize and make the scripture reading more intimate. So I wish you the best as you dig further into this scripture reading. This proverb is one that we can really take deep and really internalize in a really intimate way. So I wish you the best as you go on this journey. Let me know how it's going. Post a comment. Let us know. Send me an email. I want to hear from you. How is your engagement with Scripture going? I wish you all the best. I hope that you all stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday.